Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Great Day Houston. Have you noticed how many successful athletes use their skill in sports to help the rest of us in the game of life? This past year, legendary Houston Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2020. He shared that journey with us on Great Day Before. My first guest today will be part of the Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2021. It's one of the highest achievements for a professional athlete or coach, but to get there, you gotta put in the work. Chris Bosh is also a two-time NBA champion, 11-time All-Star, Olympic gold medalist, music producer. Wait, I'm not finished yet. He's also the author of Letters to a Young Athlete. Good morning, Chris Bosh.
Good morning. So glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Wow, you're just one of those people who, whatever was been set in front of you, you tackled it. Born in Dallas, raised in Hutchins, you tackled a basketball at an early age.
I did, and I have to give credit to all of my family. There were a lot of practices, a lot of games, a lot of support that was needed. Basketball was just something that I loved doing since I was a kid. And one of the things that helped me out was being in Clutch City in the mid-'90s during those back-to-back championship years in Houston. I got to say hello to my Aunt Ruby. She would take us in every summer, me and my brother, and we would play basketball. I became more obsessed. So yeah. I have a connection with the city of Houston. It plays a huge role in my development as a person and as a player.
And of course, for you, you were tall for your age. You're 6'11" now. So any kid who's tall, the first thing they say is, "You play basketball?"
Even now.
Yeah, right. Do you play that? You're like, well, funny thing, yeah.
Even now, I actually do play basketball. But that's one of the things, those are the things that inspired me to write this book, because even if you're not tall, if you have if you're tall, you don't have to play basketball. You don't have to be a young athlete. You don't have to be in this position to do things that other people feel you should be doing. I write about that in one of my chapters in my book.
And that's what's so great about this book. You're right. It's not just for athletes. It's about anybody who wants to try to tackle success. And you also look at what happens when that success doesn't happen, right? How to pivot. Another lesson with you is you defied stereotypes. You were National Honor Society, part of the engineering organizations, and we're at almost such in a war, it seems sometimes, between sports versus academics. You had it all.
I did, and again, I'm going to give credit to my family for pushing me to have those ideals and have that want to excel in the classroom as well as on the court. I just wanted to do well, and I preach that to the youth out there. You have to lead by example. You have to put in the work, and if you want to be great, you've got to do it all the time. And you're not always going to be 100%, but going in the classroom, getting your studies done, that's going to help you in the future. I firmly believe in that. I always believe in education, and student athletes should always push themselves to be their best.
Yeah, when you say 100%, you can't always be 100%. You seem like you were always at 100%. You pushed your school, Lincoln, to a 40-0 season and a championship. You got college recruiters' attention, plus all the accolades. A lot of stuff was coming at you really fast. How did you balance that, especially at that young age, high school between college and then college between the pros?
Basketball was always my guide, and I was so lucky to find that thing that I wanted to do, that thing that I loved so much, to keep my head in the classroom, to make sure I was on time and listening to my elders and all that good stuff. I was so fortunate and so lucky to have basketball, and I always used that as my guide. That helped me make my decisions with the friends that I was with. That helped me make my decisions on where I wanted to go to school, and then eventually. It helped me with my profession. So I was one of the lucky ones to have that thing that you really love and that you can excel at. And I really want to pass on that message to others too, to find that thing and really go for it and put everything into it. And just go for the whole goal. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, you declared for the NBA draft after one college season. 2003 was one of the best draft classes in NBA history. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh, that's you, right? 7 seasons with the Toronto Raptors, 6 seasons with Miami Heat. You won all kinds of championships, 11-time NBA All-Star. And then you decide, okay, I've done that. How about an Olympic gold medal as well in 2008 in Beijing? What seems to happens sometimes when people roll in success is they start to think that, there's nothing I can't accomplish. And again, what we learn in this book is that you were so grounded and always had to stay grounded. Were there ever moments where you found yourself kind of getting off course thinking, I'm everything, and then something reminds you that, wait a minute, you're human?
I mean, a couple of times. Losing is always the best teacher for that, especially when you're in the pros. It humbles you, whether you're an athlete in the pros, in high school, and anything. Anytime you have a loss when you were on top of the mountain, that really hurts. And after that, I kind of understood that you have to work really hard and accept that you might not always be successful, but you haven't failed. Failure is not even trying. So once the game, I had health conditions right after that, and I wasn't able to play the game. So I never got to that point all the way where I was too full of myself, where my ego was too crazy and out of control. I had to pivot, like you were saying earlier, and I had to find those other things. So I actually lived out these things that I'm writing in my book. This is not just me reflecting on the past. It's me reflecting on the past and trying to figure out what I'm going to do in the present and for the future.
Because every pro athlete I've spoken to, ones who've had super long careers, some ones that had short careers, were never really ready to quit, right? Your career was cut short in 2017. You mentioned you had a blood clotting issue. That's not the way you thought it was going to end. It didn't end like you expected. It wasn't the confetti and the champagne and here's your last game. Instead, you say it ended in a doctor's office mid-afternoon and with lawyers arguing over contract clauses through email.
It did, and that was the situation that ultimately humbled me. I found out that it can happen to you. It can happen to me. It happened to me, but you have to persevere. You have to keep going. I had to learn that basketball does not define me 100% as a person. And I used to identify as being a ball player, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. But being in this position now, being a father, being a husband, an author now, and trying to educate my kids and raise my children. That is the most important thing, amongst other things, and being a friend and just someone to listen to for my close friends. But that's a part of the journey. That's a part of
what's
what
tougher,
I'm going through.
Raising two young children or being in the middle of a playoff?
I have 5, so
you're 5 young children. Okay.
Yeah, I have 5. It's a lot. The playoffs, way easier.
Yeah. You were inspired by 2 people in particular to write this book.
There were so many inspirations. Obviously, with the letters to a young jazz poet and letters to a young jazz musician and letters to a young poet. Those were heavy inspirations for this book. But I've always been an avid reader since I was a kid. I wanted to bring something, some universal message that is a reverse engineering of my success, so that people can really take gems and just take them for themselves and apply it to their own lives.
Yeah, the late Kobe Bryant was one of your inspirations, as well as rap legend Bun B, who's a friend of Great Day Houston here. He's helping you with your music career, which means, again, pivoting, finding what else you love and what else you may be good at. And there are just so many lessons in your book. One of them is to listen to the most important voice.
It is. And, sometimes that voice can tell us we can't do things, but I want people to understand they have to listen to that inside voice. They have to take the time, listen to your inner voice. Sometimes that dialogue isn't going to be what you want it to be, but it's a daily practice. It's something you do every day. And eventually you get to that point of telling yourself, no matter what, you persevere, you continue to move forward, and you can do things as long as you put in the work.
Yeah, and appreciate the journey. Speaking of putting in the work, so many people want the reward, they don't want the challenge.
That usually happens, right? I mean, we always have a saying in basketball, the easiest thing to do is hold up that trophy. And nobody looks at the daily practice, the daily grind. I'm sure even for you, getting up in the morning, making sure you're ready, the transition to work, getting to work and making sure you're doing your job. Those are the things you have to find joy in, because if you're in it just to win trophies and shiny things, then, you might be disappointed in the end.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Most of all, thank you for writing this book. It's a great read. It's one of those things that every page, every paragraph has something you can take with you. And congratulations again on the Hall of Fame.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right. Chris Bosh's book, Letters to a Young Athlete, is available right now wherever books are sold.